It seemed inevitable that the playoff game between the Vikings and the Rams, scheduled for Monday Night Football at SoFi Stadium, would be moved to another location with the devastating wildfires happening still in Los Angeles County. And yesterday, it was made official, announced by the NFL, that instead of playing in Inglewood, California, the wild card matchup between Minnesota and Los Angeles will be in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium, host to the Arizona Cardinals, with this video being brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. It was the right move. Rams fans, you were not screwed. The NFL had to do this. And while there is no current threat to Inglewood as of 21 hours ago anyway, according to the city of Inglewood's website, in these situations, these potential safety, life-threatening situations that are wildfires, it's not just the fires that you have to worry about. It is also the traveling smoke and the reduction in air quality. As a former resident of California for 11 years, every time a wildfire would happen, which was seemingly every year, I kid you not, there could be a fire happening 4 counties over, away from where I resided at, and that smoke would travel right to my house, oftentimes where it was advised you get that alert on your phone that, hey, if you go outside of your house or outside of your workplace, any sort of building that you are in right now, if you leave and go outside, you need to wear a mask for your own safety. And although SoFi is an indoor stadium, it's technically more than that. It is categorized as an indoor-outdoor stadium because SoFi Stadium, they have a roof for sure, but also they have 3 open sides in that roof or below that roof, per HKS Architects, the company that designed SoFi Stadium. So it's not worth the potential risk. The time is not going to change at all. Still Monday Night Football, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sam Darnold's calculated market value, according to Spotrac.com, is worth a 4-year, $218.7 million deal, $54.5 million per year. We were saying this whole time on this channel this season, Sam Darnold, he's going to command a $40+ million per year contract. And when I was saying $40 million plus, I'm thinking the ceiling of 41, 42, 42 and a half, because we understand how crazy that the market has gotten for quarterbacks. Evidently, we didn't realize just how crazy it has truly gotten. I was saying no to 40+ million per year. You think I'm going to say yes to this? A $54.5 million annual value? That being said, talked about this earlier last week, that outside looking in, total speculation on my part, I don't believe the Vikings will entertain a discussion about a contract extension. Maybe they will, to the likes of Kirk Cousins, where it's a lowball offer. You do it for the sake of respect. You know he's going to reject it. But a serious market value offer, I don't think they entertain that unless he goes on a deep playoff run. Me personally, I only do it if he ends up winning the Super Bowl. Then it's like, all right, man, you can do whatever it is that you want. More JJ McCarthy trade speculation from ESPN. Dan Orlovsky was talking about the Cleveland Browns and their situation, Deshaun Watson, what have you, and suggested that the Browns call the Vikings and offer up Myles Garrett and or the 2nd overall pick in this upcoming draft for young JJ McCarthy.
Dan, Cleveland now picks 2nd overall in the draft. Do they have to take a quarterback in your estimation?
No, they don't have to in the draft, but I do know this. There's $63 million in the red for next year's cap. So you're not replacing the quarterback position with something expensive. You have to find it in a cheap manner. The only 2 assets that are worth a lot that the Cleveland Browns have are the number 2 pick and Myles Garrett. And I entertain the idea, and I think they will at some point have to entertain calling the Minnesota Vikings, maybe if they don't like somebody in the draft, and saying, Are you willing to part with JJ McCarthy because he's cheap? It depends on if they liked him coming out of college last year, and having a conversation around Myles Garrett and or that number 2 draft pick.
The Vikings are not trading JJ McCarthy. We've talked about this time and time again. But for S&Gs, if I'm the Vikings front office and the Browns call me and brings up what Orlovsky just brought up, and you want me to not hang the phone up on you right away, then we're not talking about Myles Garrett and or the second overall pick. We're talking about Myles Garrett and the second overall pick. That's for me not to hang the phone up on you. Like, all right, I've got time to kill. Let's hear what you have to say. But there are several things to consider here. Number one, no doubt Myles Garrett is the best pass rusher in all of football. However, the Vikings operate out of a 3-4 base defense. Myles Garrett is a 4-3 defensive end. This man needs his hand in the dirt. You do not want him standing up in space. We just went through this with Danielle Hunter, where going from a 4-3 DN, where he was an absolute beast, to a 3-4 outside linebacker. Like, he was good, but nowhere great as he once was. To get the full effect, the maximum output from Myles Garrett, he needs to be in a 4-3 base, which means that you need to change your whole last defense for one guy. Point number two, trading JJ McCarthy away means that you are re-signing Sam Darnold to that market value extension, $54.5 million per year. Not only are you paying Sam Darnold, you are also paying Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, and now Myles Garrett with that expensive contract that he has. That leaves your remaining flexibility with this roster at a 0. That's it. Finished. Your collection of star players with what you're able to maneuver within the cap is done. And the cap is a myth thing is a downright lie. Eventually, with these contracts and the money that you pay these players, no matter how much you push it down the road, eventually you have to pay the piper. Lastly, the Vikings don't need Myles Garrett. We just went through this with Danielle Hunter, star player, one of the best edge rushers in the game. And the moves that they have made, they decided they're not going to move forward with Danielle Hunter. Okay, fine. But the moves they made in free agency, Grenard, AVG, Patrick Jones II, before he got hurt, you got some contributions from Dallas Turner. The pass rush got better without Hunter on this roster. It just goes to show that it's not all about just getting the superstar players. It's getting a true collection of players within the budget, or maximizing the budget to get max output production. And that's what the Vikings have done. Why would they want to reverse course and go back to the Danielle Hunter days? Because if you do that, Grenard is gone. You can't keep Grenard and AVG. It makes sense for the Cleveland Browns to consider this. It makes 0 sense for the Vikings to even want to entertain this. New customers at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Promo code YouTube150. Could we have a coaching staff shakeup next year? Well, so far, you've got Brian Flores. This was always going to be a possibility as far as him getting a head coaching job. We sure as hell knew that it was inevitable that he was going to get head coaching interviews. So far, he's had interviews requested by the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, and the Chicago Bears. Quarterbacks coach Josh McCown also had an interview requested from the New York Jets, obviously for their head coaching job. And wide receivers coach Keenan McCardell, according to Darren Wolfson, is hoping for a shot at one of the open offensive coordinator jobs. So you're looking at possibly 3 members of this coaching staff going elsewhere and having to fill those spots. At defensive coordinator, obviously that's a huge loss, but I think the only individual that makes sense to replace Brian Flores, how dominant, how great he was as a DC with the San Francisco 49ers before he took on the head coaching job of the New York Jets, is Robert Saleh, who is currently a consultant with the Green Bay Packers. Josh McCown as the quarterback's coach, and Keenan McCardell as well. We can lump this together. Admittedly, when it comes to positional coaches, I'm not educated enough to be like, oh yeah, this guy is going to be great because of X, Y, and Z. I am privy and educated on coordinators. With that said, for Josh McCown, if you lose him, it may have to be KOC himself. Keenan McCardell, the wide receivers coach, the impact that he has had with Jets, with Jordan Addison, Trent Sherfield, Jalen Naylor. You've had so many receivers make big-time plays this year that you know McCardell had his fingerprints all over it. But hopefully, worst case scenario, we're looking at one change. More than likely, we're looking at 2 changes. And if it's 3, all right, we just got to trust the coaching staff. Thanks to the folks at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. We'll see you next time.